Hello everyone! Today I'm going to talk about the cultural differences between the UK and the US. For my plan, I'm gonna introduce the topic and give some history. Then I'm gonna talk about cultural differences and similarities. After that, I'm going to talk about multinationalism, shocking facts, and conclude by a summary. Have you ever traveled to the US or the UK? What were some of the cultural differences you noticed? Well, most people die from COVID in the UK, while most people die from campfire in the US. Crazy, isn't it? Let's get deeper in history. The UK emerged to major power in the 16th century. And in the 19th, the UK was the world's leading industrial power, and this period had an impact on the culture in the UK, shaping its politics and economics. The two world wars also had significant impacts on the UK's culture. For the US, its history dates back to the 16th century when European explorers arrived on its shores. And in the late 18th century, the US declared its independence from Great Britain. And throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, the US emerged as a world power with a booming economy and cultural influences that spread all over the globe. Some key events such as the Civil War, the Industrial Revolution, and the Civil Rights Movement have led a significant impact on the cultural country. Now moving on to the cultural differences, and I'm going to start with food. We all know and heard about these full English breakfasts, which include eggs, bacon, sausage, black pudding, baked beans, and grilled tomatoes and toast. They have also fish and chips, and it's classic British dish consisting of deep fried fish served with chips. And they have also roast dinner, which consists of roasted meat, vegetables, and gravy, and it's often served on Sundays. While in the US, they are really famous by hamburgers and fries, hot dogs, which are often served at sporting events and outdoor gathering, and apple pie. It's a dessert made with a flaky crust and filled with spiced apples. Now let's turn to language. So the both countries have some differences in spelling. Some words that end in OR in American English, the English people add EU, just like color and honor, which have OUR at the end for British English. There are also some differences in vocabulary. For example, we have apartments and we have a flat. We have soccer and we have football for English people. They have some slang and idioms also. So for example, in the US, I'm going to say, I hang out with friends, which means I spend time with my friends. And in the UK, they would use the term chuffed. I am chuffed, which means I am happy, I am pleased. There are also some words that have a different meaning, which can lead to confusion. For example, pants in the US refers to trousers, while in the UK it refers to underwear. It's funny. So now let's look to some customs and traditions in the both countries. For clothing, people in the UK tend to dress more conservatively and prefer classic style, while people in the US they tend to be more experimental with their fashion choices. For the different celebrations, we have in the US Thanksgiving, which is celebrated on the fourth Thursday in November, and it time for families and friends to come together and give thanks for their blessing. It's traditionally celebrated with a turkey dinner. Then we have the 4th of July, which commemorates the United States independence from Great Britain, and it's celebrated with parades, fireworks, and barbecues. We have also Halloween, which is celebrated on October 31st, and it's time for dressing up in costumes, trick-or-treating, and decorating with spooky themes. Now let's look at the UK. The UK, they have celebrations like the Bonfire Night, and it's celebrated on the 5th of November to commemorate the Gunpowder Plot of 6005. It's celebrated with bonfires, fireworks, and traditional foods as toffee apples. They have also the Boxing Day, and it's celebrated on December the 26th. And it's time for giving gifts to service workers. It's also a popular day for sport events such as football matches and horse racing. They have also royal events because the UK is known for its royal family, and many events and celebrations are centered around them, such as royal wedding and the birds. Also, the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace is a really popular touristic attraction. They have also the afternoon tea, which is a British tradition that involves a light meal of tea and pastries, and it's usually served between 3 and 5. So now I would like to expand on etiquette on both countries. For the greeting and social interactions, the US people tend to be more informal and direct in their greetings. They would use first name when greeting someone and also in business setting. Americans tend to be more expressive. They use hand gestures to emphasize points, and they get down to business quickly, and they appreciate straightforward communication. In contrast, the UK, people tend to be more formal and more reserved in their greetings, and it's totally common to use last names, especially in business. British people tend to be more understated in their expressions and avoid excessive hand gestures. They prefer to have a polite small talk before getting down to business. For dining etiquette, the US, they eat with a fork in the right hand and knife in the left hand, while in the UK it's totally the opposite. And it's also acceptable to leave some small amount of food on the plate in the UK, while it's really polite to finish everything in the plate for the US. For education, the UK British students are typically specialized in specific subjects, while in the US, students are encouraged to explore a variety of subjects before deciding on a major. Let's have a look about the workplace culture. Americans tend to be more fast-paced and individualistic. Workers are often expected to work long hours and to be highly responsive to emails and other communications, even outside of normal business hours. And this is strong culture of competition, with individuals often striving to outperform their colleague and advance in their career. While in the UK, people tend to be more relaxed, more collaborative, with a greater emphasis on work-life balance and employee well-being. British workers typically have more paid vacation time and shorter work hours than their American counterparts. There is also greater emphasis on building strong relationships with colleagues. Now I would like to discuss some similarities of the two countries. As we can notice, the language is the same. English is the primary language, with some differences, of course, and they have both rich literary and artistic heritage, with numerous celebrated authors, poets, and playwrights. Both cultures share a love of popular culture, including music, movies, and TV shows. Many US bands have found success in the UK and vice versa. Popular genres like rock, pop, and hip hop have roots in both countries. They both have a deep appreciation for sports, with many popular sports like soccer, baseball, tennis, golf, and basketball. They also have and celebrate holidays like Christmas, Easter, Halloween, with some differences. And they both have their heritage, so they would celebrate the Independence Day in the US and the St. George's Day in the UK. Also, for education, both places have strong emphasis on education, with a wide range of world-renowned universities and educational institutions in both countries. They have a long history of producing scholars and thinkers who have made significant contribution to their fields. Now I would like to talk about multinationalism and melting pots. So the multinationalism is an important topic to consider when discussing cultural diversity. Both countries have become diverse in recent decades, with a large population of immigrants and expatriates from all over the world. They have both large a range of languages, religions, and traditions coexisting side by side. It has also presented some challenges, in particular in terms of promoting social cohesion and addressing issues of discrimination and inequality. The concept of melting pot is often used to describe the US and refers to this idea of people from different cultures and backgrounds come together to form a new distinct American culture, and that Americans or immigrants who come to the US should assimilate into American culture, adopting the American values and tradition while leaving behind their own. However, the concept of melting pot has been criticized by some for promoting a one-size-fits-all version of American culture that does not recognize the unique contribution of a different ethnic and cultural group. Instead, some argue for the concept of the salad bowl, which suggests that different cultures can coexist and contribute to the larger society while maintaining their own unique identities. So it's worth noting that the UK has a different approach to cultural diversity, with a long history of multiculturalism and more explicit recognition of different cultural groups within the larger society. The UK has historically taken a multicultural approach to diversity, which emphasizes the coexistence of different cultures rather than assimilation into a single nation culture. So both the melting pot and multicultural approach is ongoing debate about which is the most effective way to promote social cohesion and celebrate diversity. Now let's have some fun about shocking facts. In the United States, they have the highest incarceration rate in the world, with over 2.3 million people in jail or prison as of 2021. The second shocking fact is that the US has the highest healthcare expenditure per capita in the world, and it ranks the 37th place in healthcare quality according to the World Health Organization. The gun violence is a major issue in the US, with over 39,000 dead due to fire. And as we can see here, the number of gun deaths in 1999 was around 28,000, and it raised up to 39,000 in 2017 and until 2019. And in the UK, as of 2021, the UK has the fourth highest death toll from COVID-19 in the world, with over 144,000 deaths. The other shocking fact is that the UK has the highest obesity rate in Western Europe, with nearly two-thirds of adults and one-third of children being overweight or obese. Then also we have a gender pay gap in the UK with 15.5%, which means that women earn on average 85 pence for every £1 earned by a man. This is crazy. So, in summary, I have explored the cultural diversity between the UK and the US, including their history, food, language, customs, and etiquette. I have highlighted the unique aspect of each country culture, as well as the similarities that bind them together. By understanding and appreciating these differences and similarities, we can foster a greater understanding between the two countries. In closing, I'll leave you with a question. What can we learn from the cultural diversity of the US and the UK? And how can we apply those lessons to our own life and interactions with others? Thank you for your attention.